Yes, sir.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, first of all, I would like to welcome all the students in a new course. And the name of the subject is Structural Mechanics, and the code is CE312. So you are already aware of my name. So first of all, I would like to give you the introduction of structural mechanics. What are the outcomes and the introduction of this course. In the introduction, so we will discuss the course contents of structural mechanics, list of reference books, assessment method, objective of this course, and what is the course policy, CLOs, and introduction of structural mechanics. So first of all, I would like to give you the introduction of class instructors. So basically, there are three teachers which are involved in this particular subject. Me and Dr. Qasim. So we will take to the all sections. So we have divided the course contents, and half of the course will be covered by me, and the other half course will be covered by Dr. Qasim Chopra. And along with the theory classes, so I will take the labs of section A only. So section B will be taught by Dr. Qasim, and the lab classes of section C and D will be taken by Dr. Rizwan Azam. So what will be the policy of the courses? So in the first 1 month, I will take all the classes of section B and C, and I would like to cover my portion within 1 month, and then we will switch the section with Dr. Qasim. And for the next month, I will take the classes of section A and D, and Dr. Qasim for the next 1 month for the 4 week, Dr. Qasim will cover up his course contents. And list of reference books. So the mostly I am following the books by Andrew and Keitel, and the name of the book is Mechanics of Material, and its second edition, and it is published in 2012. So I have this book also available with me. So you can get this book from the library, or I will ask this copy, soft copy of this book with the class students. And along with the other books, I also follow some of the topics from different books. So I have enlisted the name of other reference books here. For example, Mechanics of Material by R.C. Hibbeler, and the latest edition that is also available with me is Gates. And the other book is Mechanics of Material, 6th edition by Beer and Johnston. And along with these books, there is also a book available which was published by Dr. Zahid Ahmed Siddiqui, Mechanics of Material. And this book might be available in Strength of Material Lab. And there is another very good book, and some of the topics, especially related with unsymmetrical bending, I follow this book. And this book is by F.V. Warner, and the name of this book is Mechanics of Material. So edition is missing. I would like to give you the name of the publisher and the edition of the book. So regarding the course contents, so in this particular subject, we will study topic of transformation of stress and strain and analysis. In this particular topic, uh, we will study the analysis of stress and strain at any particular point due to the combined effect of axial forces, shear force, bending moment, twisting moment, and we will also try to determine the solution by Mohr circle method. So actually, in your mechanics of material, actually this subject, this used to be called as a strength of material 2 or mechanics of material 2. Actually, this is the continuation of mechanics of material. So in mechanics of material, you have learned that how to investigate the effect of simple forces. Simple forces mean that if a member is subjected to axial force, which may be compressive or tensile or force or a twisting moment separately. Then what will be the effect of that applied force, or what are the maximum stresses due to that applied. But if all these forces they are acting at the same time on a same member, which termed as a complex force system. So in that type of the force system, what are the total stresses acting in our structural member? So we are interested to determine the solution in this particular course. It means that if a member is subjected to the axial forces along with transversal force means that a beam is subjected to bending movements here. Maybe it is also subjected to the axial force. Then what are the combined stresses due to this? We are interested to determine the resultant solution if a member is subjected to all these type of member forces. And also further, we will extend the analysis by we will and will determine the solution by Mohr circle method. So in this Mohr circle method, we will study that how we can determine the stress and the strain analysis by Mohr circles, and how we can develop the relationship between different elastic constants. So elastic constants are modulus of elasticity, Poisson ratio, modulus of rigidity, and work modulus. And then there is another very important topic, and we have also planned regarding the study of experimental stress analysis. So how experimentally we can determine the stresses within any structural member. So we will learn this technique in our lab classes, and also how we can evaluate or analyze that option in our theory class. So we will study the Stein-Roser technique and determine stress and strain by electronic resistance strain gauges. Then we are having theory of elasticity. We will just give you an overview of theory of elasticity, how we can develop what is the tensor and how we can develop the tensor, what are the plane stresses and what is the plane strain, and how we can and solve the problem by this particular method. And some tentative week for the contact hour dedicated for each topic has also been. Then we will study the theory of failure for ductile and brittle material. So in this particular topic, actually we will learn how we can predict the failure in any brittle material and ductile material, and what are the stresses which trigger the failure in ductile material and brittle material. So the failure pattern or the failure behavior failure is different, so we will investigate in detail. And also we have planned different experiments to understand the failure behavior of ductile material and brittle material against various type of loading. For example, how the ductile material fail when it is subjected to tensile loading. Various type of the failure, and we will investigate the type of the failure surface or the type of the failure in any ductile or brittle material. So we have also designed some experiments to understand and or to implement theory of failure. And then there is another topic which is called axial bending. So this biaxial bending, we will study this biaxial bending for symmetrical and unsymmetrical section. So in your mechanics of material, actually you know that how to determine the flexural stresses or bending stresses. So it bend about axis which is perpendicular to the loading. And due to the bending, you already know how to compute the bending stress that you can determine by Flexure formula, which is sigma is equal to my over I. But in some cases, our beam is subjected to biaxial bending. Biaxial bending means that a beam is tend to bend about both axes. So beam is bending about the vertical axis and also in that case, how we can determine the resultant stresses, whether we can apply the same theory of same Fletcher formula or the bending stress formula to compute the resultant stress or not. And also, we will study that what so we may have the symmetrical cross section and we may have unsymmetrical cross section, and how these cross sections behave when they are subjected to applied bending moment. So, biaxial bending may be within symmetrical section and unsymmetrical section. So if this type of the bending is being taken place, so how we can determine the stresses in both type of the bending. So we your mechanics of material, you only studied how to determine the shear stresses in a rectangular section where the width of the section was very large. But we will extend the knowledge or we will implement uh, the shear formula on thin walled section. Thin walled section, these are the section where the thickness of the element is very small as compared to the length. So thin walled section, normally these are the steel section, or these are used in our steel structures. For example, that might be the channel section, I section, or angle section. So in this type of the section, you will see that the thickness is very small as compared to the length of the segment. So web is very long as compared to the thickness, or the flange width is very large as compared to the thickness of flange. So what will be the behavior of that open or thin wall section when they are subjected to the applied shear? So the behavior will be a little bit different that we have already studied in our mechanics of material. Having both end as a pin end. Or so in this our structural mechanics, we will study the column topic in detail. For example, in steel structure design, uh, I told you that we are having the residual stresses and imperfections in column, but we have used one formula that the Euler stresses or the critical stresses, they are 0.877 times of the Euler stresses, critical stresses. So we reduce the strength of column by 12.3% in order to consider the effect of imperfection. But if the imperfections are large, then the reduction of strength may be more. So in this particular topic, we can determine the critical load of column if it is subject to eccentric load or it is having the column is having imperfection, which may be due to the eccentric load or maybe due to the initial imperfection or out of flatness of the column. Then in that case, how we can estimate the buckling load or the critical load at which the column will fail. Uh, so we will learn this in this topic. And the last topic that we will cover in this particular course is the thin and thick cylinder theory. So Actually, thick and thin cylinder, these are the, or we can these are the member or the structure member which are comprised of shell element or plate element. So what are the plate element or the shell element? These are the element where the thickness is very small as compared to the cross section. So these are the maybe gas cylinder, water and petroleum storage tank, maybe silos. So what type of the stresses are induced in this type of the cylinder, and what are different theories available to evaluate the stresses in thin or the thick cylinder. So we theory, thin cylinder theory and thick cylinder theory that we will study for this particular topic. So that is the assessment method that we will use uh, in our structural mechanics, but that may be subjected to change depending upon our online class mode or on-campus class. So we will change the assessment policy. But that is obvious that the final exam will be of 40% and mid exam will comprise of 30%. And you may have two quiz each of 10% or 10 marks, and then 10% which is dedicated for class participation and class assignment. So policy, this course policy is the same that I have given in steel structures. So you need to secure 75% attendance in order to appear in the final exam. And students should adhere to the academic integrity and ethics. Cheating is absolutely not tolerated. The university regulation will be enforced, applied on any student who do or try cheating. Maybe the copying the assignment or other. So student works. So all these, if I will give you any assignment, so you need to submit all. So if you are submitting your assignment late, so late work will be subjected to a penalty of 20% of grade for each overdue day for a maximum of 3 days. So no work will be accepted after 3 days. For example, in field structure, many students they have submitted their design so be aware of plagiarism, copying, and handing in for credit someone else's work. Any plagiarism case will be resulted in F grade. So if you are coming on campus classes, so you are supposed to bring simple scientific calculator with you. So so student may add or drop the course within 2 weeks from the start of semester. So student may apply for withdrawn W grade during the first 6 weeks of semester. Further, let me clarify one thing. The student they cannot request WF grade. So WF grade is the force due to the punishment by the teacher or due to the short attendance. If the teacher force you not to sit in the final exam, then you are eligible for WF. But otherwise, if you so next, course learning outcomes. So regarding the course learning outcomes, we are having 5 CLOs. So at the end of this course, what we are expecting, what type of the qualities we I think there is an interruption in the internet. And second CLO is student will be able to compute principal stresses and strains when any structure member is subjected to complex loading. So complex loading means that when it is subjected to bending moment, shear force, twisting moment, or maybe any other type of loading at the same time. So when a member is subjected to complex loading, so how we can determine the principal stresses and the strain. So principal stresses and strain you will study with Dr. Qasim. So the principal stresses, these are the maximum or the minimum normal stresses which are produced in any structure member at any point. So principal stresses due to the shear stresses or tensile stresses. So the third CLO is student will be able to calculate stresses and strain in shell applying thin and thick shell theory. So in shell or the plate element, how to compute the stresses, so student will be capable after the completion of this subject. And the fourth CLO student will be able to analyze and design the problem subjected to various loading and different end conditions. So various type of loading may be eccentric or concentric loading and with different end conditions. So what will be the maximum load that a column can carry at any particular condition? So CLO number 5, to exhibit commitment toward time management, punctuality, and honesty. So this CLO will be assessed by the attendance. For example, if the student is attending the lecture late or maybe leaving the lecture early, or what is the attendance of the student, or he has submitted his assignment on time, or whether he has solved objective of this course that has already been highlighted over here. So if a student is not able to develop or to achieve any particular CLO, so obviously he need to revise his subject. So for the lab part, we are also having this what we studying in our theory classes. So we have planned some experiment to consolidate our theory portion or to verify all the theories that we have studied by experimental procedure. So in our lab portion, so we are having mainly the 4 CLOs. So number one is to imitate experiments for assessing the tension and torsional loading. So basically, in this our first yellow, so we will investigate the behavior of brittle material and ductile material, how they respond or how they behave when they are subjected to axial loading and also torsional loading. For example, a member which is brittle, so if the same member is subjected to tensile loading, so what is its failure behavior? And the same brittle material, for example, the carbon, when it is subjected to twisting movement or the torsion, then how it can fail or how it behaves against that in any against any particular loading in any ductile or brittle material. Uh, so we will study in this particular CLO. So we have planned actually two experiments in order to cover this CLO. So we will test brittle material and ductile material in tension and also against twisting. So we will study and predict the type of the failure and the failure stress or the failure load in both type of material. So actually, this topic is this one of theory classes. For example, sorry, CLA number 2. Student will be able to compute the principal stresses and strain when the member is subjected to complex loading. So here we will study the theoretical background and then we will validate our this theoretical method experimentally by this CLO number 1. And CLO2 student will be able to demonstrate the knowledge of stresses and strain for the behavior of structural member. So actually, in this particular CLO, we will apply our theory, theoretical knowledge, and we will prove this maximum stress and the strain theory by experimental procedure. So we will determine the stress and strain experiment, and we are using electronic resistance strain gauges. And actually, we will validate that whether the stress and strain that we are determining experimentally, they are same as we are determining by the theoretical equations or not. Whether the theoretical equation, the Plagiar equation, and the shear equation, they are giving the same stress or the same values that experimentally we are determining by electronic resistance strain gauges or any other particular method. So in other words, we are validating our theory. So here, the unsymmetrical bending that we are studying in our theory classes. So we will validate that unsymmetrical bending theory by our experimental knowledge. So we are having an unsymmetrical Z section, so which will be subjected to by axial bending. So a Z section, which is a cantilever beam, when it is subjected to biaxial bending means that it will be bent about both axes, vertical and horizontal, and we will determine the deflection of this Z section when this will be subjected to bending, and we would like to verify this deflection and the stresses by theoretical equation. And further, we have another experiment that is related with the channel section. So in this experiment, we will determine the shear center. So the shear center, this topic we will study in our theory class. Structural member. If a load is passing through that point, then a beam is only bending without twisting. So we will validate this also our assignment. Student will sorry, there was some interruption. So in this our CLO number 4, actually we will learn how we can determine the stress and strain by some experimental method. So we shall use some electronic devices or some small chips which are called we will learn and we will verify our stress and strain that we have determined experimentally by theory of elasticity or by theoretical equation. So these are the tentative lecture delivery plan. So in the first 4 weeks, so this is actually reverse. So I will change it right over here. So the first 4, so I will take the classes. Let me simply switch the teachers. So for the first 4 weeks, I will take the classes of section B and C. Okay, that are reverse. I will modify the plan is changed totally. So I will take the classes of section B and C for the first 4 weeks, and Dr. Qasim will take the classes of section A and D. B and C. So, in the first 4 weeks, I would like to cover the topic of biaxial bending and shear stresses distribution. The transformation of stress and strain, and in 4 weeks with section A and D, and after 4 weeks with section B and C. So before the midterm, I would like to complete the two topics biaxial bending and shear stresses distribution. And Dr. Qasim, he will complete the topic of transformation of stresses and strain. And after the mid, we will again switch the section. So I will teach the topic of columns, thin and thick cylinder. And Dr. Qasim, he will teach the topic of experimental stress analysis, introduction to theory of elasticity, and theory of yielding or failure. And then what we will do, we will take the classes of two sections continuously for 4 weeks. Then we will switch the sections. So I will also send you these slides in PDF form. Okay, next is introduction of structural mechanics. So structural mechanics, or the mechanics of structure, is the computation of deformation, deflection, and internal forces or the stresses, which are also referred either for design or for performance evaluation of existing structure. So structural mechanics analysis need input data such as structural loads, the structural geometry, structure, geometric and sports conditions, and the material properties. And output quantities may be includes sports, reaction, stresses, and displacement. So actually, let me give you the simple definition of structural mechanics. So actually, the structural mechanics is comprised of two words. Number one, the structural, and number two, mechanics. So first of all, what is the structure? So a structure is the combination. Remember, I believe that you have already studied in structural analysis. So mainly, all type of the structural member, they can be idealized into three type of structural member. So that may be line element, maybe plate element, or maybe brick element. So what are the line elements? These are the elements where the length is very large as compared to the cross section dimension, just like beam and tension. So for the structural analysis purpose, a beam or a column, you simply represent by a single line, and you just show the loading on this column or the beam element, and you determine the internal force. So it means that that type of the element is simply idealized by the line element. And other elements which are called the plate element, where two dimensions are very large as compared to the third dimension, which is thickness, or one dimension is very small as compared to the cross section or other two dimensions. Just like these are the wall, or these may be as a slab. So wall or the slab, these are regarded as a plate element. And number three, where all the three dimensions, they are equally important or they are comparable, just like heavy footing. So these are type of the brick element. So why we idealize? Because by idealization we can simply sketch them and we can show all the apply loading and we can determine the internal forces. So a structure. So structure is comprised of, or a structure is the assembly. For example, you can take a simple frame. A simple one frame, single frame is comprised of two columns, of which are the two line element and one beam, and one transversal line element, which is one beam and two columns. So when this structure is projected to apply loading, so structure is the assembly or the combination of, and then load from the one part to the other part. For example, I will give you the example. If you are sitting on a chair, so this chair is comprised of four legs and maybe one seat over which you are sitting. So a seat is the plate element. So when you are sitting on the chair, so this plate element, it is withstanding. So it is resisting all your forces safely. Forces safely means against your applied load, the chair seat is not breaking or neither the deflection is very large. So if it is safe to carry your load, or if the deformation in the seat is not significant, it is its second function. So it goes from seat to the four leg. And then this four leg, each is having some portion of your applied load, and then each leg is carrying the load safely, which is the line element, and then transferring the load to the ground. So this is the structure. And second word in the structural mechanics is referred as a, it comes from the mechanism. Mechanism is the procedure. So the procedure, the method, the philosophy or the theory of velocity that we are adopting to determine the internal forces or the deflection in any structural element or a structure is called as a structural mechanics. So structural mechanics or the mechanics is the computation of deformation. So what we are doing in this particular subject or what we are learning, so we are computing the deformation, deflection, or internal forces in any member. To determine the internal response may be the deflection or the internal stresses. What are the maximum tensile stresses which are being produced in any structural member? What are the maximum shear stresses which are being produced in any structural member due to the applied loading? And the method and the procedure that we are using to determine these internal responses or deflection is referred as a mechanism. So we have to adopt a certain mechanism or we have to use some particular theory. For example, if we want to determine the bending stresses, so we're supposed to use the Flexure formula or the bending theory. So which is, then we have to use a different mechanism or different procedure, different theory, which is the shear formula. Similarly, if a structural member is subjected to twisting movement, then in that case we have to use the torsional formula. So similarly, the procedure or the mechanism is the dependent upon applied loading. So what mechanism we are using to determine the maximum internal response in any structure and is referred as a structural mechanics. So why we want to perform this structural mechanics? So we are having two purposes. Number one, or number two, for performance evaluation of existing structure. So what is the design? First of all, because you are already having the knowledge of design in your steel structure design. So if I want to design a member, axial loaded member, so axial loaded member is subjected to the compressive axis or dial axial forces. So if I want to design mean that what is the lightest or minimum cross section required for any line element. So first of all, what I will do, I will determine what is the maximum compression force or tensile force is being developed within that member. So what I will do, I may use the Euler buckling formula, or maybe I'm going to use the rupture criteria or yielding criteria to determine maximum. Oh, sorry, I will use the normal stress theory to determine the maximum tensile stresses. So if I know the maximum compressive or tensile stresses which are being produced in any structure member, so I can compare that stresses against their material strength. For example, you know the basic design equation in steel structure. So applied load effect is compared with I will compare the material strength and the cross-section properties with the applied load and what is the our unknown. So we are determining the cross-section required. And number two is the for the performance evaluation. Performance evaluation is we have already designed a beam or a beam is already designed. We do not know that what is the maximum load it can carry. If we know the cross-section dimension of that beam and we know the material properties, so we can determine the load carrying properties. So what is the maximum load it can carry before the failure? Or if this beam will be subject to maximum deflection without actually the member is being loaded. For example, if a beam is already constructed, so if we know the cross-section dimension and material properties and apply loading, so without loading the beam, we can estimate or approximately evaluate that what will be the maximum deflection against maximum applied load without actually the beam is being loaded. So we want to to carry out the analysis for the performance evaluation. And number two, we can also extend our knowledge of can implement our knowledge of structural mechanics for the performance evaluation of failed structure. For example, in the field, maybe or maybe any column. So what we will do, we can evaluate what is the reason that why the cracks appear. Maybe there might be some type of the loading that we underestimate or we ignore during the design phase. So we want to evaluate that why the cracks have appeared, or for example when we design the beam, so against the applied load the beam is supposed to be safe, but if against the applied load the deflection has become very large or the structure response is not as our prediction, so we will determine the possible reason which trigger the failure so that in future we can make our structure more safe or we can improve our design method. So what knowledge is required to perform the structural mechanics? So structural mechanics analysis, we need some input data. We must know what is the applied load. So applied load must be known, geometric shape, because from the geometric shape we can determine what are the geometric properties, what is the moment of inertia, what is the cross section area, what is the sports condition. For example, if we are want to determine the bending stresses in any beam, so the end conditions are quite important because the maximum bending moment in a simply supported beam may be different from the maximum bending moment for a beam which is having both ends fixed. And further, we must know what are the material properties. So why we need strength. So if high stresses are more than the material properties, so the material will fail. So we can predict the failure. So output quantities that we are interested to evaluate are the Sports reaction. What are the maximum Sports reaction? So we are using the statics or rigid body analysis for this. We are determining what are the internal stresses. We can use the shear formula, bending or Dalton formula to determine the internal stresses, and we can determine what is the maximum displacement or maximum deflection at any part. So we can use the Whitworth method, Castigliano's theorem, moment area method, so there are different methods for the structural analysis. So I believe some of the method you have already studied in your elementary structural analysis and structural analysis. So the first method is called the energy method. So these are methods based on linear elastic behavior and conservation of energy. What is the conservation of the energy mean? Energy can neither be created nor destroyed, but that can be transferred from one state to the another state. So work done by applied or external forces is equal to the energy stored in structure under load. So we express the relationship between stresses and strain and deformation, maybe displacement, and using the material properties and external effect in form of energy or work done by internal force. So I believe that you have already used this method for indeterminate structural analysis in your structural analysis class. Maybe indeterminate structural analysis of trusses or maybe beam. Where what is the modulus of resilience or modulus of toughness? So modulus of resilience is energy required to produce yielding in the material or work done per unit volume required to yield a material. So that can be computed by the area under the curve from 0 to the yield point. And similarly, what is the modulus of toughness? Total energy required to the total area under the curve from 0 to the rupture. If applied energy is more than the modulus of toughness, then the material will fail. So another method is the finite element method, that is the advanced method. And maybe you will have some surface level knowledge in your 7th semester in structural engineering classes. So in finite element method, the structural system is modeled by a set of appropriate finite element interconnected at a point, which are called nodes. An element may have physical properties such as thickness, coefficient of thermal expansion, density, Young modulus, shear modulus, and Poisson ratio. Actually, in this method, for example, if we are having a beam, so line element to and the deflection and the stresses at the node point. At any node or at any cross section, we give the geometric properties and the material properties to that node. And the solution is determined by the numerical method. So we develop the equation relationship between stress Uzair, can you hear me about interruption in the internet? Uzair?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So actually, maybe before interruption in the internet, I was on the plastic analysis. So that was the, let me share the slides again. So can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Screen is visible.
Okay. So, so let me give you the finite element method again. Just I will give you the overview. For example, if we are having one beam, one line. So in finite element, what we do, if you are dealing beam as a one element. So one beam is comprised of one element which is having only two edges or two nodes at the end. So in finite element method, we only compute the internal forces and deflection at the node or at the edges. So it means that we cannot determine the deflection at the midpoint of the beam by finite element method. So what we do, if I'm dividing the beam into 5 parts, so each division or 2 parts are connected by one node. So in finite element method, we are determining the internal forces and deflection at interconnected points, which are called the nodes. So we develop the relationship between stress and strains, or we can develop the relationship between force and displacement by using the stiffness method. And we are having very complicated set of equations. So these actual set of equations can be solved by some numerical method. So you have already studied Newton-Raphson method and Taylor series. So actual differential equation, they are solved by some simple method to determine the approximate solution. So you will have some surface level knowledge, maybe in your 7th semester in structural engineering classes. So in plastic analysis, this design method is same as of the other classical method, for example, the energy method or any other method. So if we are replacing the material strength by any other value more than yield value, then this method will be referred as a plastic analysis. So if we are using any stress value outside the elastic range or above the elastic range, then our design method or the analysis method will be regarded as a plastic analysis. So plastic analysis is defined as analysis in which the criterion for the design of structure is ultimate load, and we can define it as the analysis in which inelastic material is studied beyond the elastic limit. If we are using the design stress more than elastic limit value or more than yield value, then our design method will be regarded as a plastic analysis. So I will stop my introductory lecture here. So next time